We got what you want. Take the Fightins from Philly and plant them right on South Beach. All the faces are in their places for a 3-game series. Javi Vasquez, Joe Blanton, you're our first matchup. Charlie's in first, Edwin's in second. And the next 3 days, the 2 best records in the National League are on display. So's the National League Player of the Week. We present Marlins and Phillies. The best that the National League has to offer is all yours for the next 3 nights. Tonight, Game 1, the Philadelphia Phillies at 22-11, the Florida Marlins at 20-13. Everybody getting ready for a 3-game set. The Fish coming off a Sunday win. The Phillies beaten late last night by the Atlanta Braves. Javi Vasquez gets the ball. Joe Blanton will counter coming off the disabled list for the Fightin' Phils, who have plenty of pop. They're the National League East standings. The East is a beast right now. 16 games over 500 against the rest of the National League. Hi, everybody. Rich Waltz along with Tommy Hutton. This certainly should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it should be. When you look at this matchup tonight with Javi Vasquez against Joe Blanton, you say this is an important game for the Marlins, but you know what? The same for the Phillies, because they have to face Josh Johnson and Ricky Nolasco the next 2 nights. The Marlins get to face Halladay and Cliff Lee the next 2 nights.
Just 2 games in the standings separate these teams. Statistically, very similar are these 2 teams as we get to this point in the season.
I think there's some numbers that are going to surprise a lot of people when you look at the runs per game. The Marlins a little bit better. They've actually hit 1 more home run than the Phillies. They've scored more runs than the Phillies. The ERA, give that to the Philadelphia Phillies. Bullpen's very close. So you can see a lot of close numbers when you compare these 2 teams. The one number that doesn't compare, the Phillies have won 17 of the last 20 games played here in this ballpark.
Yeah, you're right, Tommy. They have dominated in this park. Joe Blanton gets the start, and he's coming off the disabled list. The Phillies have had some injury issues. Blanton, one of them. What will they get out of Blanton tonight?
Well, they hope to get about 75, 80 pitches, so we will see that Phillies bullpen. Charlie Manuel will have to dip into that. He's not overpowering. He's got a curveball. He mixes it up. A little tough to pick up with the delivery that he has. The Philadelphia Phillies will see Javi Vasquez. They saw him in Philadelphia. He has to mix and match. He has to keep the walks down, and he has a number of hitters on that Philly team that have tremendous numbers against him.
Especially the left-handed bats. Ross Glode getting a start in there. Raul Ibanez. Coming up inside the Marlins preview, Mike Hill, Vice President, General Manager, former running back. How about that? It's all coming up. start it with the men in black. Not Johnny Cash, Frank Fort, Jeff Conine. Gentlemen.
Thanks, Rich. We are proud to present the game tonight and proud after the game to present our newest edition of Inside the Marlins, the life of a GM, Mike Hill, and a guy who works in the Marlins front office as a special assistant, Jeff Conine. What's Mike's biggest strength, you think, as a part of baseball management?
Well, I think Mike was such a great athlete and played a very high level of baseball in the minor leagues, so he knows what it takes to perform on the field and off the field, what kind of citizen you have to be and what kind of talent it takes to produce at this level.
All right, and as they say in Hollywood, here's a look at the trailer. On this edition of Inside the Marlins, Team Vice President and General Manager Mike Hill was an outstanding athlete from Cincinnati, Ohio, and an excellent student graduating from Harvard.
One thing you could tell within 2 weeks of knowing him that he was going to be successful whatever he pursued, whether he became a banker or a college professor or a college coach or you name it. He just had all the attributes that was going to guarantee his success.
After 3 seasons playing minor league baseball, Hill moved on to the front office, working in both Tampa Bay and Colorado.
When I got to that point, it was one of those things where I was completely comfortable with the decision that I made, and I was ready to take the next step.
And you knew that, honestly, you would just have him a short time, that there was not only aspirations, but there was certainly enough talent to ascend to the highest level.
Joining the Marlins in 2002, Hill works in conjunction with President of Baseball Operations, Larry Beinfest, overseeing all aspects of the on-field product.
Just looking for good quality people that can work together, have fun, that are creative, and are willing to take chances and try to put themselves out on the line. And I think Mike fit in very well.
Away from baseball, Mike is an avid runner, completing 3 marathons, including Boston and New York.
Everyone has been a tremendous experience, and it's just another way to feed that competitive hunger.
That's all next on Inside the Marlins, Mike Hill. And maybe Mike's next challenge will be doing the Ironman like David Sampson and Jeff Conine have done.
He told me no way.
No way?
He said, you're crazy, I'm not doing that.
Hey, but he's done Boston and New York. I think that's good enough for most runners, that is for sure. Coming up next, it's Game 1 of this important 3-game series here at Sun Life Stadium. Marlins, Phillies, the battle for the top of the National League East. Javier Vasquez and Joe Bryant, your pitching matchup. Rich Waltz and Tommy Hutton with all the action coming your way next.
Fox Sports Florida is brought to you by Toyota, moving forward, by AT&T, by Checkers, little place, big taste, And by Florida Power and Light, FP&L is working to make its system stronger, smarter, cleaner, and even more efficient. Visit fpnl.com to learn more. This should be a lot of fun. Glad you're along for the ride. The Marlins and the Phillies opening up a 3-game series. The Phillies lineup. Phils come in at 22-11. Jimmy Rollins is at short. He's followed by Shane Victorino. Placido Polanco is at third base. Ryan Howard at first. Raul Ibanez in left. Ross Glode is the right fielder. Pete Orr at second. Brian Schneider, the catcher, and Joe Blanton will be in the 9 position.
Well, Rich, the key for Javier Vasquez is to try to keep the opposition from scoring in the first inning. Every outing he's had this year, and the one in Philadelphia, no exception, the Phillies got a couple of runs against Javi in the first inning in that game at Citizens Bank Park.
And what's been most troubling about Vasquez, first inning and innings beyond, his wildness. 6 starts, 21 walks.
21 walks, 16 strikeouts, not the ratio he wants.
1-0 to Rollins. And Vasquez misses outside. 10 runs allowed in the first inning. He somehow survived against the Phillies in that start in Philadelphia. But he's been averaging just 5 innings per start. The Marlins would love to get him deep in this one. Eric Cooper calls strike 1. Mark Carlson, Tim Timmons, and Jeff Kellogg are umpiring quartet for this 3-game series. Rollins takes down low. Rollins a little bit of a bounce back year from a year where he hit .243 and had an on-base percentage of just .320 last year. Hits that ball well to right field. Back goes Stanton at the track. At the wall, leaps, and it's gone. Off his glove and out of the park. Rollins opens the series with a solo homer.
I thought I was in Philadelphia for a moment. More Philly fans here tonight than Marlins fans. Well, again, 7 starts in a row now. You fall behind. Right now, the problem for Javi, he can't fall behind. He doesn't have the stuff that he once had that he can get hitters out that way. Just off that glove of Mike Stanton. He's had a couple of opportunities like that this year. He falls behind. He had to go with the fastball, and Rollins was ready for it.
Here is Victorino, who takes a strike. Foxmo shows you how close Stanton was. Oh, up the very top of his glove. When you slow it down, you can see it just hit the top of the fingers. Here's the 0-1. So it didn't pop in and out of his glove. It just brushed it. Rollins hits his 2nd homer of the season. Victorino has knocked 5 out of the park this year. And he comes in with an 11-game hit streak, and he skies one to center. Coughlin is there, and Chris makes the catch.
There's a look at the defense tonight for the Fish with Bonifacio, Coughlin, and Stanton in that outfield. Greg Dobbs, he's been hot. Hanley looking to get hot. Infante and Gabby. And John Buck is behind the plate. Jimmy Rollins, Rich, a big sample size. That was his 64th career at bat against Javier Vasquez. Came into the game hitting just 190, but now 3 of his hits against Javi have been home runs.
As we told you, there are plenty of Phillies that have gaudy numbers against Vasquez, and this guy is one of them. That guy's one of them too, Raul Ibanez. This guy, Placido Polanco, a .350 career hitter, 60 at-bats against Vasquez. Polanco takes a slider for a strike.
Yeah, you got Polanco, who had at-bats against Vasquez in the American League and in the National League. This guy's been hot against everybody, though, this year.
And I think he's been a real hidden hero for the Phillies. The publicity seems to go to the Rollins, Victorino, Howard, Utley when he's healthy. But Polanco is a tremendous player who sends Coughlin back, and Chris makes the catch. All 3 balls hit pretty well off of Vasquez here in the first inning. Our weather to start things, 86 degrees. Humidity's in check. In Philly tonight, 49 degrees, brought to you by All Year Cooling.
Boy, the last time we were in Philly, we had that rain out, the middle game of the series. There's Charlie Manuel 67-year-old skipper of the Phils.
Signed a 2-year extension before the season to manage this ball club through 2013. Now Howard has done some damage against Vasquez. 3 career homers in 17 at-bats. He mashes one over the head of Gabby Sanchez into the corner. Howard around first. Stanton picks it up. And Ryan Howard bangs out his 8th double of the season. Javi Vasquez isn't fooling anybody right now.
No, he's not. And the list goes on and on of Phillies who have crushed Javier Vasquez. Shift didn't matter there. 6 for 18 now against Vasquez, and Howard's hit 3 home runs against him. And the guy coming up has better numbers, Raul Ibanez.
Ibanez at 357 against Vasquez. 2 outs, both fly ball outs to fairly deep center field. And Ibanez takes down low. Raul 28 at bats, 4 homers against Vasquez.
Been kind of a roller coaster last few weeks for Raul Ibanez.
Yeah, he had a long dry spell.
He had an 0 for 35, the longest 0 for in his career, and now he's 10 for his last 21.
Breaking ball, and it's pulled foul. So 7 times Javier Vasquez has started a game this year, and in all 7 first innings he's given up a run. What he's been able to do after that, though, in some cases, is limit the damage and keep his team in the game.
Well, in the game in Philadelphia, he gave up 2 runs in that first inning, but he went 5 innings, gave up 5 hits, and 3 runs total in the game.
1-2 to Ibanez in his 3rd season as a Philly, and of course a local guy, Sunset High School, Dade Community College. Talked to him before the ball game. He says he's got about 20 friends and family here.
Two-strike pitch, trying to get that outside corner, just missed.
Vasquez 2-2. Breaking ball, line shot, base hit. Bonifacio has it. Here comes Howard. Strong throw by Bonifacio. It is waiting on Howard. He's out. Emilio Bonifacio with a strike, and Howard simply covers his face.
Yeah, Ryan, that guy can throw out there. Boy, another rocket, though. Another hard-hit ball. He can throw.
1-0 Phil.
del SAP.
Phillies a 1-0 lead. Marlins come to the plate in this order. Chris Coughlin is in center field. Emilio Bonifacio in left, flip-flop from yesterday. Hanley Ramirez at short. Gabby Sanchez, the National League Player of the Week. Mike Stanton in right. Greg Dobbs, the former Philly, is at third base. John Buck had a good weekend. He's behind the plate. Omar Infante at second base. Javi Vasquez hits ninth against Joe Blanton. This is outside.
April 23rd, Rich, the last time Blanton pitched. He's been on the disabled list. He thought that he could continue pitching with it. The Phillies wanted to give him a couple of weeks rest. So he didn't have any rehab starts. He's been throwing on the side. So they're probably expecting about 75 or 80 pitches from him tonight.
Coughlin rips one into right field. And Chris Coughlin opens up the first with a base hit. Phillies are a very, very good defensive team.
Yeah, they are. They're so good they lead the league. Philadelphia's made just 12 errors. Ibanez, Victorino, and Glode. Ross Glode only his second start of the year. Polanco and Rollins tough on that left side. Pete Orr, Ryan Howard on the right side. Carlos Ruiz on the disabled list. So Brian Schneider getting a lot of the catching chores. The veteran who handled Javier Vasquez in their Montreal days.
And Ruiz is a guy that always seems to find a way to hurt the fish. Blanton buries his first pitch to Emilio Bonifacio. Bonifacio continues to get on base, continues to hit, and continues to sparkle everywhere he goes defensively. You saw the throw to get Howard to end the top of the first.
That was his fourth outfield assist.
Change up and a swing and a miss, and it's 1-1.
I think we remember a couple of the others. Remember when he was in right field, throwing behind runners who rounded the bag. He got a couple that way.
Blanton's 1-1. And it's fouled back. He's out in front 1-2. Bonifacio, as we showed you yesterday, very nice on base percentage, and he continues that. 381 right now. Edwin Rodriguez had him in the leadoff spot yesterday and had Chris Coughlin hitting second. Little tapper, Blanton, just in time. Not an easy play. Blanton made it nicely.
Yeah, good play by Joe Blanton. How about checking out the scouting report brought to you by Metro PCS. Deceptive short arm delivery. Mixes all of his pitches. We've already seen some nice change-ups. And yes, he's coming off the disabled list with a little elbow issue.
Here is Hanley Ramirez. Hanley yesterday 1 for 5. And at the same time seemed to tweak that left shoulder of his. Hit the ball hard on a couple of occasions and didn't get a hit. Blanton throws a strike at the knees. No one in a Marlin uniform tonight has ever homered against Joe Blanton, which seems incredible, knowing that Blanton has made 8 starts against the Marlins.
And incredible when you add up all the home runs the Phillies have hit against Javier Vasquez.
Yes. Well, 1 to Hanley. It's in. Allison Williams has a little more on Hanley Ramirez.
Well, after he tweaked his shoulder yesterday post-game, he wrapped his shoulder and then plugged it into a device called a muscle stimulator unit. And what it does, it sends charges, electronic pulses into the shoulder, helps with muscle healing. It kind of stimulates fatigue and blood flow to the area, to Hanley's shoulder. He also had it on today before the game in the clubhouse, and I talked to him. He said it's still kind of painful, especially on the backswing. He's not 100%, probably closer to 70%, guys.
All right, thank you, Allison. Hanley's average still below 200. Chris Coughlin out at second base.
Sometimes minor injuries correct problems.
Line to the center field, base hit. Here comes Coughlin. Stop sign is up. Victorino's throw was on the money.
And what I mean by that with Hanley, you have a little soreness in your shoulder. when the swing extends and gets too big, it might hurt. You might tweak it. So you compact everything. You try to shorten it up. So sometimes a little injury helps things. Good start for Hanley. Hit the ball too hard, though. Cox couldn't score from second. Victorino with a strong arm. Coghlan thinks he's going to score right there and then picks up Joe Espada. Good job by Chris Coghlan to pick up his coach, and a good job by Joe Espada.
Gabby Sanchez now, the National League Player of the Week, stands in. Marlins at the corners. Blanton's fastball misses low and inside. Gabby had a day yesterday. He was 4 for 4, including a 3-run homer, a pair of doubles. He scored 3 times. And he's ahead in the count 1-0. Gabby to left center field. That ball's hit well. It is off the wall. Scoring is Coghlan. Here comes Hanley. Espada will send him. Relay from Rollins. He's in there.
Stay hot, Gabby. Stay hot.
And it's 2-1.
Oh, that's the way to bounce back after that first inning run for the Phillies. Another double, another big hit for Gabby Sanchez. And it's our checkers double of the game, driving in 2. Good running by Hanley to score all the way from first base. He got a good jump. Hanley knew this ball was going to drop all the way.
Now Mike Stanton. Breaking ball, and Stanton went after it, and it's 0-1.
Mike has had a lot of tentative swings lately. He just hasn't looked locked in, but he has hit 4 home runs in his short career against the Philadelphia Phillies. Made his debut last year in Philly.
1 for 4 yesterday, and Blanton's pitch bounces away from Brian Schneider. Gabby Sanchez with another double. 9 doubles on the season now for Sanchez, who continues to climb up the charts in the National League and is starting to get a little national attention. Great to see that he's the Player of the Week in the National League. We've talked about it. That's a low strike on a big man.
Wow. He called one that Hanley, I think, thought was low. He kind of gave a little look back when Hanley batted. But if that's going to be the Eric Cooper strike tonight, then you got to be ready for it. But that was low. Keep in mind, Mike's a big man.
Had the 3D Fox tracks there. Count goes 2-2.
It makes such a difference, though, a call like that. 2-2 instead of 3-1.
Right. Remember the breaking ball he threw to him on the first pitch. Changeup. It's turning into a good at bat for Stanton. The count's full now, 3-2, and the former Philly, who had a big day yesterday as well, Greg Dobbs, is on deck.
And Mike is 2 for 2 with a home run against Joe Blanton. Good job.
So Stanton trots down to first. Charlie Manuel and the Phillies worked late into the night last night. Lost 5-2 to Jair Jurgens and the Atlanta Braves. Cole Hamels was beaten.
Hamels threw well. Just 3 runs and 5 hits in 7 innings.
Braves hit 3 home runs in that ball game. And here is Greg Dobbs. Talking to Charlie Manuel for the ball game. He watched yesterday's game. He watched our telecast, actually. Dobbs pulls it. Howard got it out there. The relay got it out there. And a nice double play. 3-6-1 finishes the inning. But the Marlins get to another Gabby Sanchez double. Top. Told you that Gabby Sanchez is the National League Player of the Week. The secret is out. And of course, yesterday's 4-for-4 day added to a terrific week. Good season numbers. He's climbed into the top 10 in on-base percentage now. Ross glowed against Javier Vasquez. This is the second start of the year for Glode, and no coincidence that it comes against Vasquez for the second time.
Yeah, the first start was that game against Javier Vasquez in Philly. And even though it glowed with unbelievable numbers, 16 for 38 with a home run against Vasquez, he was 0 for 3 in Philadelphia.
Has one homer against him. Vasquez misses low. Remember the low strike that was called against Stanton? That one, a similar pitch, though it may have been off the plate.
But other than his starts against Vasquez, Glode doing his usual terrific job of pinch hitting.
Sharp ground ball finds Infante's glove. One out here in the second. Pete Orr coming to the plate. Is your group looking for an affordable outing? Save money, provide them with an unforgettable experience at a Marlins game. Call the group sales department at 305-626-SAVE or go to marlins.com/groups. Chase Utley is in extended spring and actually has had some success early on at the plate.
He's still a ways away, though.
Gabby, nice job of getting around that ball. Vasquez beats Orr to the bag. I asked Charlie Manuel, and he said when Utley proves that he can play 3 games in a row and without a lot of pain, then we're ready for him.
And that's 3 9-inning games. Right now, he's not even playing full games, getting some at-bats, playing some defense.
Speaking of playing games, as Brian Schneider steps in, Logan Morrison up in Jupiter playing some games. John Baker has been playing some extended spring games as well. And both seem to be progressing. Morrison ran yesterday and ran well. So the Marlins are eager to see him play in some games in the next 2 or 3 days and hopefully have him for the opener in Washington.
Busy travel day because Lomo was out here working in the outfield, doing some drills, and then headed up the turnpike, maybe 95.
Well, if he had his sun pass going, man, he's right there.
Yeah, sun pass, you hit the turnpike. By the way, 7 of the 9 hitters the Phillies have in their lineup, 2 are switch hitters, but 7 of the 9 will be batting from the left side against Vasquez.
It's the veteran Brian Schneider. Schneider now 34, his second year backing up Carlos Ruiz. 12th year in Major League Baseball.
And a few of those years, a battery mate of Javier Vasquez when they were both Montreal Expos.
See,
those pitches aren't missing by much. And remember the one that was called on Stanton?
Yep.
I just happened to think of that.
Here's the 2-2. Breaking ball popped him up. Let's see if it's playable. There's not a lot of foul ground at this stadium behind home plate. John Buck goes back for a look.
It's one thing we haven't touched on too much with Claude Delorme or David Sampson. I think there's not going to be a whole lot of foul ground in the new ballpark.
I think you're right. I think it's very intimate, the dugouts and the seats behind home plate. Yeah. 2-2. Another ground ball to the right side. So a nice bounce back inning from Javi Vasquez. 3 ground ball outs. Fish on top, 2-1.
towel. It's nice and soft. A Fox Sports Florida computer bag. A beach cap, Fox Sports Florida, with your beach towel. A New Era, just like we wear, Florida Marlins cap. A wooden stick from Fox Sports Florida. Just kidding. Got a flash drive with that. Then you get a keychain from Ford, South Florida, Ford.com. And a baseball, authenticated and signed by me, Logan Morrison. Log on now to get your pledge packs.
All right, here are some of the things in the pledge packs. You've got the Tommy Bahama
and
towel.
it is soft.
It is. John Buck takes a strike. This is the briefcase that you get from Fox Sports Florida. Very cool.
That's cool. I like that.
You can put your computer, your iPad.
You can put about 5 iPads.
Electronic gadgets can go in here. You got a variety of hats, too. You get the New Era cap and a beach cap as well. And there's the New Era cap, soon to be a collector's item.
It's a nice towel. It's good to keep one of these in the car.
Adjustable beach cap. Now, Marlins.com/pledge packs, Marlins.com/pledge packs, they are on sale starting tonight, and it's all part of our Ford Fantasy Auction presented by Tommy Bahama. We're sporting the Tommy Bahamas. Ford will be out there on that Thursday night against the Cubs on the 19th. Yeah, and the ball is authenticated, so it has the hologram from Major League Baseball on there, and Logan Morrison is our spokesperson this year, and he has signed the ball, so you get an authenticated Logan Morrison Major League Baseball.
Perfect.
Yep. And the zip drive and the keychain light from Ford, all for just $150, and it all goes to the Marlins Community Foundation. Well, Joe Blanton trying to do his best Javi Vasquez imitation and have a better second inning than a first inning. And he's off to a better start in the second. Marlins got 2 in that first. He strikes out Buck. Here comes Infante. And Javi Vasquez is scheduled third. Marlins.com/pledge packs. If you go online, you can check out not only the pledge packs, but also the tickets for the dinner. If you want to be a part of the fantasy auction this year, an all-you-can-eat gourmet buffet, a meet and greet with Jeff Conine, a meet and greet with a Marlins player, photo opportunities with both those guys, and you get a ticket to the ball game. See the Cubs and the Marlins on the 19th.
And Rich, you and I are always available for photos.
We will be there before the ball game. We'll be down on the set, which is always has the steel drum band. Infante hammers one to left. Ibanez over to cut it off, and Omar Infante with a one-out single.
All of a sudden, you're starting to see Omar Infante with better swings coming into tonight. The last 5 games, a .412 average, so he ups that with that line drive base hit there.
Tommy, here's one of those situations you've talked about this past week. You've got a pitcher at the plate that handles the bat pretty well.
And Edwin knows that.
And you've got a guy with a little bit of speed at first, and normally it's a straight sacrifice, but it's also a chance sometimes the Marlins have talked about putting a runner in motion. We'll see what they do. Vasquez a straight bunt, and a nice one at that. Schneider's throw to first is in time.
It's kind of a catch-22 situation. You have a guy who's a good bunter, so you feel pretty good about putting the sacrifice on. If you're an infielder, I've said this before, when you have a hitter that has that ability, you can't charge as much, so you don't have to be as perfect with the bunt, but that was a nice bunt, and Javi got the job done.
And this is part of the dynamic, as you see Chris Coghlan standing in, that caused Edwin to flip back to Coghlan in the leadoff spot and Bonifacio hitting second, because invariably when you have the pitcher hitting ninth, you're going to be bunting guys up in hopes that this guy can drive them in, and Edwin right now feels that Coghlan's a better choice to drive those runs in than Bonifacio, as Coghlan takes inside. Chris has knocked in 17.
Yeah, Chris has good numbers against Blanton, but also good numbers in 25 games against the Phillies. He's a .350 hitter against Philadelphia.
2 outs here in the second. Coghlan takes a strike. Edwin was happy that his team scored 8 runs, but he said the Bonifacio-Coghlan combination didn't really impact that a whole lot. It was more Gabby and Dobbs and guys up further down the lineup. The other thing he said is he thinks that Bonifacio is a little more comfortable hitting with a base stealer at first than Coghlan is right now.
Yeah, I think Coghlan has really gotten used to that leadoff spot.
Infante at second. Coghlan a line drive into left field, base hit. Here comes Infante. Espada will send him, and he will score. A manager's intuition paying off. Coghlan's 18th RBI of the season.
And that is exactly right, because a lot of people, a lot of managers, after making the flip-flop and then winning the game and getting 13 hits and scoring 8 runs, would have kept it the same. But Edwin's intuition was, nah, get the pitcher, bunt him over. Coghlan's better driving in runs. Chris with his 18th RBI. Also, he knew the good numbers against the Philadelphia Phillies. That's a beautiful swing.
3-1. Here's Bonifacio. And he takes inside. So Joe Blanton now 35 pitches into this thing. Marlins have banged out 5 hits and have 3 runs.
A couple of other things to consider with men in scoring position. I know Joe Espada knows this, coaching at third. Ibanez, a below average arm in left field. Victorino, a good arm, and Ross Claude, not a good arm in right field. And remember, they're playing deeper than they play in their home ballpark, Citizens Bank.
Coghlan is running. He has an enormous jump. And not only does he steal it without a throw, but neither middle infielder even bothered to go to the bag.
He could have stolen it without a slide. No look at all. And you're right. Rollins and Orr just said, forget about it. He's there.
2-1 to Bonifacio. Bonnie drives it to center. Victorino is right there, and he makes the catch. But the Marlins, a little 2-out hit from Chris Coghlan and a 3-1 lead. Champions League final comes to Fox, and it's a rematch of 2009. Barcelona looks for their 3rd championship in 6 years, while Man U looks to avenge their 2009 defeat and claim their 2nd title in 4 years. Fox Sports exclusive coverage of the UEFA Championship League final begins Saturday, May 28th. Here's Joe Blanton. And he takes outside. Strike to Blanton, and it's 2-1. Joe Blanton Jimmy Rollins, Shane Victorino. In the third, a 3-1 Marlins lead. Blanton slices one into left center field. That's going to fall for a hit. Blanton not known for his hitting, but he had a big home run in the World Series back in 2008.
Bonifacio was not playing him deep, and that's exactly where you should play, but he hit that ball off the end of the bat. If he hits it a little better, Bonifacio is able to put it away.
Saw Sam Perlazzo down there at first base talking to him. Here was Rollins leading off the ball game. Vasquez fell behind him, and Rollins hit it off the very top of Mike Stanton's glove.
Rollins' second home run of the year, his 17th career home run against the Marlins.
I think this is the real test for Javi Vasquez now, because this is the second time through for the guys that all barreled him up. Rollins, the homer. Victorino and Polanco hit deep fly ball outs. Howard, a line drive double. Ibanez, a laser beam single. And of course, the inning in the first ended when Howard was thrown out by Bonifacio at the plate. Breaking ball misses, and it's 2-0. Neither pitcher has been dazzling with their ball strike ratio. Vasquez 15 balls, 19 strikes. Blanton is at 18 and 20. Another base hit.
Well, this is what got Vasquez in trouble in that first inning, falling behind. You just can't fall behind these left-handers who have hit him well over the last few years.
Become a Marlins season ticket holder in 2011. You'll enjoy the best savings and benefits in the major leagues. A variety of plans, including full season, half season, 10-game flex plan, and more. Season ticket plans start at just $85. Secure your seats today. 1-877-MARLINS or go to marlins.com.
Vasquez, Rich, has had 3 2-0 counts so far. The results, a home run and 2 singles.
And Victorino hit one to fairly deep center field for an out back in the first. We got a little interesting dynamic here because first and second, Victorino is a very good bunter. Blanton, not a lot of speed at second.
Yeah, you have not much speed at second and a lot of speed at first.
Been a small strike zone for Eric Cooper on occasion.
May have gotten blocked out just a little bit by John Buck there.
Not bunting, in the air. Coughlin is there. Chris makes the catch. Chris is throwing better out in center field. This last week or so, he's uncorked a few good throws, even threw a runner out at third.
Yeah, it feels better, I think, on a consistent basis, and I think the result, better throws.
Now Polanco, he hit a bolt to center back in the first.
This is a guy you have to throw strikes to because he's not going to strike out. He's only struck out 17 times, or 7 times, excuse me, this year.
Polanco calls time and steps out. Polanco, his 14th year in the major leagues. Just been a solid ball player. 6 years in St. Louis. When he was in Detroit, one of his teammates, a guy who has great affection for him, Omar Infante.
And you also, Rich, you mentioned Raul Ibanez out of Miami-Dade Community College, as is Placido Polanco.
Polanco originally out of the Dominican Republic. Breaking ball. He was on it. Blanton had to hesitate. Bonifacio gathers it up. But here's Vasquez again in hot water, having to face Ryan Howard with the bags juiced.
Watch how he stays back on this slow curveball. What reactions. I mean, he picked this ball up right away, took a little step, stayed back with his hands, and then drilled the line drive. You see the frustration in Vasquez when Polanco hit that line drive.
Perry Hill making sure the infielders are aligned here. It's It's tough as you look at Howard with the bases loaded. It's tough to put the full shift on with the bases loaded.
Yeah, you can't really do it. Hanley will be almost behind the bag. It's tough to turn a double play this way, unless he were to tap one back to the mound, and you got one that way.
Howard doesn't ground into many double plays. He's only only a couple this year.
A lot of it's because of the shift, and when they're men on, the way second baseman has to play way over.
A lot of it's because he hits the ball 400 feet, too. There's Blanton. He singled. Rollins singled the right after Victorino flied out. Polanco singled the left.
And we've seen Howard, I think, a little bit more over the last couple of years, take balls the other way, especially if he gets 2 strikes on it.
1-1 coming. Breaking ball misses inside. Javier Vazquez coming into this start with an ERA of 6.39. It's the highest ERA in the National League for a pitcher with a .500 record. Comes in at 2-2. This is start number 7. Slow chopper. Now the count evens at 2-2.
This is probably, I'm just guessing, a frustrating situation for Javier Vazquez, because in the past, 2 or 3 years ago, when he had this situation, he could reach into his back pocket for that strikeout pitch, the sharp curveball or the moving fastball, and right now he doesn't have that.
I was talking before the ballgame with Jim Beattie, who's here, who was the general manager in Montreal when Vazquez pitched, now a scout for the Toronto Blue Jays. He said the one thing about Vazquez, even early in his career, he would in the first couple of innings throw all of his pitches, and Beattie would know. Jim was a starting pitcher in the big leagues. And he says that he thinks he'll be able to make that transition, but it's not an easy transition to make. 2-2. Bases filled with Philadelphia Phillies. Here's the 2-2. Breaking ball hammered into right field. Base hit. Stanton got to it quickly. Mike's throw is cut, and Howard has brought the Phillies within a run.
With the matchups the way they are, I don't think Edwin can go too long with Javier Vazquez. There isn't anybody being fooled right now, and a lot of it is because all these Philly hitters in their career with good track records and a lot of at-bats have hit Javier Vazquez hard.
Add to the fact that he's been hit hard against other teams this year, and that's not a good combination.
So you're seeing good swings. You're not seeing anybody fooled. And the Phillies are putting on a good charge here in their 3rd inning.
Even the outs have been loud ones. And Raul Ibanez is up. Remember, he punched that line drive single to left. That back in the first. Howard was at second. He tried to score, and Bonifacio threw him out by 15, 20 feet. And that's not an exaggeration. In fact, he threw him out by so much that Howard literally stopped and let John Buck just tag him. Now the infield back for 2. Ibanez goes out of the zone and pops it up. Buck is in front of the plate. Infield fly if it's fair. You could hear the home plate umpire Eric Cooper say that.
Well, how big is that out for Javier Vazquez?
He still has to get Ross Gload out to get out of this inning.
Let's see how far out of the zone he did. He was, sometimes when you just sit on one pitch, your tendency is to swing at it wherever it is. So he was looking fastball, he got it, but it was out of the zone. It's a big out for Vazquez.
Now Gload, who bounced to second to open the second. Bases still loaded. Rollins is at third, Polanco at second, Howard's at first. This matchup on the mound tonight so far has been a messy one for the two pitchers, and nothing like we expect for the next two nights. Claude was trying to put it in the seats.
Yeah, we've talked about it. Tomorrow night, Josh Johnson against Roy Halladay, and then Wednesday night, Ricky Nolasco and Cliff Lee.
One coming to Ross Glode. Vasquez at 86 miles an hour.
Of course, Glode had that tremendous year with the Marlins in 09. 21 pinch hits. He had 15 pinch hits last year. He has gotten, as you see by the range and speed, a couple of pitches in the 90 area. So much of it for Vasquez's location, though, now.
Buck smothers it. Rollins, an interested observer at third. Phillies at 22-11. They're 9-4 on the road, but as Tommy pointed out, the outset of the telecast, Roy Halladay and his Phillies have won 17 of the last 20 games between these two teams in this ballpark.
That's a number that has to change.
Claude punches it into left field. Base hit. Runner coming. Runner held. Bonifacio's throw goes all the way to the screen. Here comes Polanco. Play at the plate. Vasquez drops the ball. And the Phillies take a lead. Ross Glode simply punched it into left field, and then all heck broke loose.
Just reach out on a pretty good pitch, but that's the kind of hitter Glode is. And here comes Bonifacio. He has a play at the plate. There's no question about it, even with Polanco, the runner. Polanco is being held, but the throw goes over John Buck. He almost ran into Polanco's third base coach, too. Then when the ball got by Buck, there still was a chance to get him at the plate, and the ball just mishandled by Vasquez.
A veteran like Vasquez knows better, Tommy. He should have been backing up the plate. He stood and watched that.
I looked
from in front of the mound.
And I didn't see him. That's right.
Here's Pete Orr. Because if Vasquez is backing up that play, Polanco is still at third base, and the game is still tied. Pete Orr is 0 for 1 at the corners. That one misses outside. Here's another look.
Bonnie trying to get his second put out, but the throw sails high, and there's Vasquez. He's only halfway to the plate, and you're right. He's got to be behind the plate, knowing that there's going to be a throw to home plate.
Two-0 pitch pulled. Infante has it, flips. Gabby gets back just in time. That's a nice play by Gabby Sanchez. And a long inning for Javi Vasquez.
couple of missed plays by Javi Vasquez have given the Philadelphia Phillies a 4-3 lead over the Marlins. We want to remind you to stay tuned tonight for Marlins Live postgame. And immediately following that, our debut edition of Inside the Marlins, episode number 2 for the season, The Life of a GM, Mike Hill. We'll take you through Mike's growing up in Cincinnati, where he was a 3-sport athlete in high school, through his graduation at Harvard, his entry into Major League Baseball as an executive in the front office, one of the fastest rising executives in all of Major League Baseball over the past 15 years. We'll show you a typical day in the office, and we'll also tell you about Mike's affinity for running. He's completed 3 marathons already, including New York and Boston. That's all tonight. Inside the Marlins, The Life of a GM, Mike Hill. That's immediately following tonight's game and Marlins Live postgame. Rich and Tommy?
All right, thank you, Frank. Hanley Ramirez into center field with a base hit.
Kind of a hit fest out here tonight, Rich. And another good approach by Hanley. 2 balls he's hit up the middle. He's 2 for 2.
This is not one of those classic pitching duels, is it?
No, this is not what we're probably going to see the next couple of nights.
So Hanley's 2 for 2. Good sign. And both have been up the middle, back up the box. Gabby drove 2 runs in, including Hanley, with a double in the first.
7 runs and 14 hits combined so far.
Blanton, Gabby to third. Polanco, good feed. Orr's turn is a clean one. And the Phillies get a double play. And that's a ground ball that Javi Vasquez needed to get in the top of this inning. By the way, the scoring on that wild play at the plate, Vasquez actually gets the error in that he dropped the throw from Buck. And so the error on the play goes to Vasquez, and that last run is unearned. Stanton rifles one through the left side. We'll bring Greg Dobbs up. In our pregame chat with Charlie Manuel, he told us he was watching the game yesterday, and he said Greg Dobbs at the plate looked like 2008 Greg Dobbs.
Yeah, it looked like the Greg Dobbs they saw getting all those pinch hits and big hits in their World Championship year.
So that's as balanced and as compact as he's seen Dobbs in the last couple of seasons, and obviously Charlie would know. He's managed him. And Charlie, were he not a manager, would be known as one of the best hitting coaches in baseball. He was one of the best hitting coaches in baseball before he started to manage.
Yeah, when he was with Cleveland, and then had success managing the Indians as well. Had a couple of 90-plus win seasons.
Dobbs tries to lift one, and it's out to Victorino, who makes the catch. Marlins get a couple hits, but no runs, and still trail at 4-3. It's been a rough ride so far for Javi Vasquez. Brian Schneider, Joe Blanton, and then the top of the order, Jimmy Rollins. And Vasquez falls behind 2-0. And that's been a pattern not only in this ball game, but also in his previous starts.
You mentioned Brian Schneider getting a little more playing time. Carlos Ruiz on the disabled list with some back soreness.
Tickets of America poll question. Favorite entertainer from Philadelphia? Kevin Bacon, Dick Clark, Bill Cosby, Tina Fey, Will Smith right now with an early lead and a commanding lead. 789-789, standard rates apply.
There's a couple of guys, it may not be favorites, but are the most favorite and famous entertainers from Philadelphia. I mean, how can an American Bandstand with Dick Clark? Bill Cosby out of Temple.
I'm going with Will Smith. I'm sorry, or Tina Fey a close second.
See, I'm more old school. I'm more thinking Dick Clark and Bill Cosby. Tina Fey, I didn't even know she was from Philly.
Here's the 0-2.
At least the other ones I knew were from Philly.
Blanton singled and scored back in the third. The 1-2. Infante. Two outs. Rollins comes up. We flip the phone. Our AT&T trivia question. Last player for player trade between Florida and Philadelphia.
That's a good one. That's a good one. That's a tough one to research, too. That's a tough one to cheat on.
Here's Rollins. Solo homer in the first, singled and scored in the third. Already 8 hits for the Phillies.
Just thinking Ross Glode, he signed as a free agent with the Phillies, having been a Marlin before.
Oh, 2. Of course, Dobbs a free agent, minor league free agent.
What about Antonio Alfonseca? I think you probably have to go back a few years for this one.
Ball and 2 strikes. Niner was never involved in a Marlin to Philly transaction. Was he? Here's a 1-2. Did not swing.
Jeff Conine, for a bit in 2006, was a Philly. 28 games worth.
Hit well. Bonifacio is there, and he makes the catch. And Vasquez has a 1-2-3-4. Yes, Android phones now available at Metro PCS. Plus, get unlimited nationwide service for just $50 a month. Metro PCS, wireless for all. 4-3 ball game, bottom of the fourth. Joe Blanton and Javier Vasquez have been knocked around a bit. One of the suites here at Sun Life.
I think one of the real oddities for Javier Vasquez tonight, he's had the 2 innings where he's really struggled, gave up a run in the first and 3 runs in the third, but in the second and fourth he's had 1, 2, 3 innings.
Strike to Buck. John struck out back in the second. Blanton at 46 pitches. Marlins have 7 hits to go with their 3 runs.
See, when you watch a guy like Blanton, that was as hard as he's going to get it up there, and that was 89. And he can pitch, and he has pitched successfully. Uses the curve, the changeup, and that's where Javier Vasquez is going to have to start from. He's going to have to do that.
Two. Runs in on Buck.
Blanton was a big acquisition by the Phillies in their 08 championship year. He came over to Philadelphia midway in July for 3 minor leaguers from Oakland. And he went 4-0 the rest of the way as a Philly. Clearly they're trying to work John Buck up too.
Infante to follow. And of course Blanton has been called the 5th Beatle, so to speak, with the rotation that the Phillies have. Halladay, Lee, Hamels, Oswalt. Oswalt on the DL right now.
I think when they had their initial press conference, they really just wanted to have the top 4 guys, and they felt embarrassed, and they wanted Blanton to sit up on the dais with them, and I'm not even sure he had any questions. John Buck wasn't sure of the count there. Not sure any questions were directed toward Joe Blanton.
Buck is aboard. If you're just joining us, you watch this pitch. That's ball 4. The Marlins and the Phillies opening up a 3-game series here. The 2 best teams in the National League record-wise. The Fish at 20-13, the Phillies at 22-11. And tonight it's a Joe Blanton, Javier Vasquez matchup. A prelude to tomorrow night's Josh Johnson, Roy Halladay matchup. Infante up the middle, and Blanton now twice has been able to get a double play ball and clean up an inning.
Boy, that's really helped his pitch count too. Got the double play ball in the first inning. He's gotten 3 double plays in this game. First inning, Greg Dobbs hit into one. Third inning, it was Gabby Sanchez, and here in the fourth, Omar Infante.
In that press conference in spring training, one of the reporters was asking a question, or I guess addressing all 5 of them, and they said, well, Cole, since you're the only guy that has a World Series ring up there, can you say something? And the reporter was interrupted quickly by Blanton and said, wait a minute, I got one of those too. Vasquez takes a strike, and it's 1-1.
Well, he's been a blue-collar type pitcher. Good description of Joe Blanton. 200 innings 4 times in his career.
If you're from Brownsville, Kentucky, I think that fits.
Yeah.
Pitched at the University of Kentucky. He's not being paid like a 5th Beatle. He's in year 2 of a 3-year contract for $24 million. Vasquez, that backs up Polanco, who makes the throw across. 4 innings in the books. Phillies on top, 4-3. The pledge packs are now available. Marlins.com/pledge packs. Logan Morrison is the spokesperson. Look at on there. You've got the zip drive, the New Era cap, the Tommy Bahama beach towel, a authentic Logan Morrison signed Major League Baseball cap from Fox Sports Florida as well. Victorino, Mrs. Inside. I've got the beach towel. Tommy has his.
Look at this. You can take the iPad right out of here.
Nice.
And keep it handy for the game.
Nice. And of course, this is the prize piece in there with the hologram from Major League Baseball, a Logan Morrison ball. That's a Shane Victorino base hit. Stanton runs it down. Victorino racing towards second, thinking about third. Here he comes, and he'll get there. Mike Stanton had that one bounce off of his glove, and as soon as Victorino saw an opening, he put it in another gear.
And Victorino does have another gear. This is a double, but as soon as it's bobbled by Mike Stanton, as you said, Victorino turns it on, and he's got a couple of gears that are faster than most. Keeps looking over his shoulder right about 5 steps before second base. He knew he was going to get to third, and he did.
So a triple for Victorino. Now Polanco, Howard, and Ibanez. And the Marlin infield reluctantly comes in because this is the order, or the part of the order, that has really hit the ball hard. Polanco has flied to deep center and has singled. Howard has a double and an RBI single. Ibanez has a line drive hit. Ball smacked in the gap, left center. Coughlin giving chase deep enough to score Victorino. So the Phillies have been efficient, Tommy. 5-3 lead now here in the fifth.
Polanco outstanding in those situations.
AT&T trivia question tonight.
I like the Conine possible connection.
Player for player between the Marlins and the Phillies. Marlins received Darren Dalton
for left-handed hitting Billy McMillan.
Wow.
97, and certainly
a big acquisition.
Dutch was a big acquisition to that World Series team. Caught a little, played some first base.
Added another character into that clubhouse.
Oh yeah, added. You're right. He gave that clubhouse. I don't know if they needed it, but a little more than what they had. That's the best way to put it.
Howard has roughed up Vasquez for 2 hits. And everything he's hit tonight has been hard. Foul balls, the double in the first, the single in the third. 9 hits for the Phillies. You see the shift. Hanley is actually over on the first base side. The Marlins were one of the first teams to bring their third baseman and put him over at what would be considered the second base spot and leave the shortstop be, but I think Dobbs is a little more comfortable over on that side of the field.
Yeah, it's a little more feasible when you have Bonifacio, let's say, playing third, because he feels comfortable over there at second.
Edward Mujica in the bullpen. Vasquez loses Ryan Howard. So with 1 out, the Phillies have a runner at first, and Edwin Rodriguez has a decision to make. Let's take a look at the Marlins schedule, brought to you by Just for Men Hair Color. Of course, the night tomorrow night, it's a Roy Halladay, Josh Johnson start with an email Tuesday on top of that. We start it with Marlins Live at 6:30. Cliff Lee, Ricky Nolasco on Wednesday night. Then it's on to Washington for 3 and to New York for 2. Just as we look forward to the upcoming schedule, you can live forward with Just for Men Hair Color.
And Edwin has decided to make that move to the bullpen. We might not get a lot of emails in tomorrow night either. We might add that.
Tonight would have been a good night for an email Tuesday. Vasquez on his way out. Here's the Marooney. Call to the pen.
When you need a car, truck, or van, who you gonna call? Marooney!
Two records in the National League, two of the best pitchers in baseball. Roy Halladay, Josh Johnson. Last time they met on this mound, 20th perfect game in Major League history. And JJ was pretty good that night as well. Josh Johnson that night went 7 innings and did not give up an earned run. Here's Edward Mujica. Cameron Maben error on a Chase Utley line drive resulted in the Phillies' only run that night. Halladay was perfect. He struck out 11. And the two met about 2 weeks later in Philadelphia, and JJ got his revenge. He outpitched Halladay in a 2-0 win. Ibanez strokes it into right field. Stanton has it. Howard going to rumble into third. And so it doesn't matter who's pitching right now. The Phillies are hitting. At the corners, we check in with Frank Ford.
All right, thanks very much, Rich. You mentioned Josh Johnson in his outing tomorrow night, anticipated outing against Roy Halladay. But earlier this afternoon, we caught Josh as he was taking part in a photo shoot out in the right field corner here at Sun Life Stadium. It was for the Sporting News, as they are working on a possible cover story involving Josh Johnson. Guys, we talk a lot about how the Marlins don't get a lot of national attention, but earlier today, Gabby Sanchez named National League Player of the Week, and the Sporting News now working on a piece with Josh Johnson. Why, though, do I get the feeling that if Josh wins tomorrow night, that will be the cover story on the Sporting News? And if he doesn't win, well, it may just be an inside feature story. Guys?
Thank you, Frank. Yeah, an interesting night tomorrow night, because certainly there are a lot of Philly fans here tonight. There will be a lot of Philly fans here tomorrow night.
And there should be a lot of Marlins fans here tomorrow night, too. Nothing else to do. Beautiful weather. Great pitching matchup.
Ross Glode, a big hit in this ball game, a single to left. Knocked in one run, and it led to another run on the error by Javi Vasquez. University of South Florida product, Ross Glode. Howard and Ibanez. Just one out. Mujica needs a ground ball, and he misses away. Yeah, Glode's role with the Phillies a little different than with the Marlins. He got a little more playing time with the Marlins, but certainly he's enjoyed his stay in Philadelphia. Pop up, Dobbs.
Yeah, we actually saw Ross Glode get a number of starts at first base. Played first base very well, but he doesn't get that opportunity with the Phillies. So when he starts, he's usually in right field, and this is his only second start, and his two starts have both been against Javier Vasquez.
He had just 128 at-bats last year.
So he's 17 for 40 now in his career against Vasquez.
That's over Hanley's head, and Glode dumps one into left field. Bonifacio almost had a shot at Ibanez at second. It tells you how weird that ball off the bat was, because not only did Hanley have trouble reading it, but so did Ibanez, who wasn't running from first.
Well, he had to pause because right there it looks like Hanley's going to make that catch. And once it gets over his head, look at how quickly Bonifacio charged. Even if his throw's down, I think Ibanez is able to get to second. But this is what kind of shot do you call that in tennis, Rich? That's a nice lob.
Yeah.
Over the net.
Or a good pitching wedge up.
Yeah. Either way, it worked for Glode. An RBI single.
2 for 3 is Glode. It's a 6-3 game now. And Mujica trying to keep this one from getting away. Strike to Orr.
This is one of those games, and I understand that you can't always have a left-handed starter. This is one of those games and one of those teams, when you play the Phillies, you'd like to have a left-handed starter. that had good stuff. I know if you have a righty that has better stuff, okay, throw the righty out there. But you know what? Love to have a left-handed starter against this Philly team. And I think that's one of the reasons they have beat up on the Marlins, especially here at home, winning 17 out of the last 20 games.
Down goes Orr.
And I know if you have a lefty starter, now you're going to see Ben Francisco. You're not going to see Ross Gload. You're going to see a different mix. But you're still going to have the Victorinos and Rollins hitting from the other side. You're going to have Howard hitting left-handed against a lefty. And they're the numbers. And that's how badly the Marlins have been beaten up by the Phillies in this ballpark the last 20 games.
Schneider on the ground, Infante to first, and Mujica ends the fifth. 2 more runs for the Phillies. Our Subway fifth inning. Short start by Javi Vasquez, our Subway fifth inning. The Marlins are down 3 to the Phillies, 6-3, bottom of the fifth. Chris Coghlan, the top of the order against Joe Blanton. Coghlan fouls it off. Chris is 2 for 2. Pair of singles. He has scored a run and driven in a run. Joe Blanton wobbled a bit early, but he's used a double play ball to get out of trouble in both the third and the fourth.
Well, Blanton doing what Charlie Manuel hoped. He's keeping him in the game thanks to 6 runs, and he's right about 60 pitches.
Coghlan gets into that one but pulls it foul. And it's 1-2. $18 RBIs now for Chris. Gabby Sanchez, the RBI leader for the Fish. Vance Worley, who's pitched well in emergencies for the Phillies, is in the pen. In fact, Vance Worley has pitched better than Joe Blanton has pitched here tonight.
Well, he's had a couple of starts. He's pitched really well.
That's off of Blanton's glove. Coghlan's going to get another hit. So Chris is 3 for 3 tonight.
Yeah, he just keeps upping that average, lifetime average against the Phillies. 24 games before tonight, he was hitting 348. So 3 for 3 tonight gets that up there pretty good.
Before Bonifacio stands in, let's check in with Allison. Allie?
Well, Rich, money might not buy happiness, but it can buy a heck of a starting rotation. The Phillies have the highest paid 5 starters in the bigs, making $67 million combined. Roy Halladay leads the way with $20 million, and Cliff Lee, who took less money to play in Philly, brings in $11 million a year. Joe Blanton, over $10 million a year he makes, and some may have dubbed him the 5th Beatle. You remember in that press conference you were talking about some nicknames were thrown around for the Phillies staff. Some mentioned Fab 4, R2, C2 for Roy, Cliff, Cole. And Lee was quick to point out, those are all fine, but there's a problem. There's 5 of us up here. And I talked to Charlie Manuel earlier, and he said the chemistry and the camaraderie between those 5 is really terrific. Oswald, of course, right now on the DL, but they're all very tight on and off the field. Guys.
Thank you, Allison.
I think another nickname out there was, and it had a silhouette on a T-shirt of the old Charlie's Angels show, Charlie's Aces.
A total payroll of $165 million for the Phillies this year. That's up from last year, where they were $138 million. 0-2 coming, and Bonifacio goes down swinging. Blanton gets just his 2nd strikeout. Here comes Hanley. He's got 2 hits.
Second, 3rd hit game of the year, 3-hit game of the year for Chris Coughlin with his 3-hit night so far.
Well, Ruben Amaro Jr., the general manager of the Phillies, has continued the good work that Pat Gillick started. Hanley up the middle. Rollins gets to this. Polanco's turn in time. 3rd double play turn by the Phillies. 4th double play turn by the Phillies. How about that?
Disponible en español vía SAP y es presentado por KFC.
Hi guys, how are you?
What's up, fellas? How's it going?
Richie, Tommy, how are you?
Well, we're a little shell-shocked at the Phillies offense so far tonight.
No question. Those Phillies have some kind of hitting, and I mean, the way they do it, they spread it all over the place.
Yeah, neither starter looks sharp, but Joe Blanton's been able to get a double play grounder when he's needed it.
That's true. 4 of those have gotten out of a lot of trouble.
Michael Martinez sends one in the air out to center. Chris Coughlin makes the catch. Martinez pinch hitting for Joe Blanton. So Blanton's night is over after his 5 innings. And it's the top of the order. All right, guys.
Have a good game, fellas.
Take care.
Smooth sailing the rest of the way.
You too, guys.
Bueno, ahí como
Jimmy Rollins and Shane Victorino now against Edward Mujica. Their first look at Mujica. Mujica came on in the 5th when Vasquez exited the game. Javier Vasquez going 4 1/3 innings. Rollins fouls it back. The Marlins, Vasquez now at just 5 innings per start on average for his 7 starts.
Well, and a lot of hits, gave up 9 hits, no strikeouts.
Oh-2. Busy day for Gabby. 2 outs. Here comes Victorino. And here comes John Buck's favorite promo. Marlin fans, present your Miccosukee Ultimate Rewards Players Club card at the stadium box office, starting 2 hours prior to any Marlins home game to receive a $10 discount on up to 8 infield box seats. Offer cannot be combined and is subject to availability. Miccosukee Resort and Gaming. Get in the game. That's cruel by the guys in the truck. Although, if you're Miccosukee, I mean, aren't you on the phone right away calling John Buck's agent and say, hey, we need a spokesman?
Hey, Miccosukee
saw your work this weekend?
They got some great pub from John Buck.
Victorino has tripled and flied to center twice. Gabby again. Quick inning for Mujica. Marlins coming up. Looks like they'll be seeing Vance Worley in the bottom of the 6th.
Greg Dobbs, the 3-6-1 double play in the first inning. Then it was a 5-4-3 double play off the bat of Gabby Sanchez. How about Omar Infante? They've all been pretty much routine double plays. 4-6-3 on that one. Hanley, his last time up, 6-4-3. So 16 times the Marlins have hit into 4 double plays in a game. Only twice. The club record is 5. So they're just 1 away from that. There's a look at Vance Worley. We've talked about a lot of position players, Rich, a lot of shortstops out of Long Beach State. Vance Worley is out of Long Beach State.
And you see the starts that he's made. He's been outstanding in both those starts. Gabby Sanchez, Mike Stanton, Greg Dobbs. And Worley throws a strike. And this is the perfect scenario if you're Charlie Manuel in the Phillies. You get Joe Blanton and give him his 5 innings. He throws 66 pitches, 3 runs, 8 hits, and now Worley takes over, and Worley is capable of taking it the rest of the way.
Yeah, as you watch his delivery, too, he has kind of a deceptive 3-quarter delivery, hard to pick up. Pretty good command.
Two-run double And Gabby bounced into a double play. Shoots that one down the right field line. Let's see if he can stretch 2 out of this one. Glowed up with it. Good arm for Glowed, and he cuts it off. Gabby has to settle for a single.
By the way, another left-handed bat that'll soon be in the Philly lineup is Dominic Brown, the youngster. He's played 11 games now in the minor leagues, trying to get himself ready. Hanging breaking ball. Gabby Sanchez is hitting everything now. Just stays on top of it. Wise choice to stay at first base with his team trailing by 3.
Toyota trend. Gabby Sanchez has at least a hit. The Fish are 18-5. When he doesn't have a hit, 2-8. 2 for 3 tonight. Here's Mike Stanton. Big breaking ball. A walk and a single for Stanton.
Rich, Gabby now 7 for 14 on the homestand.
It's a 3-run game in the bottom of the 6th. After Stanton, you've got Dobbs. Mike Dunn starts his warm-up tosses. See Dobbs. 9 hits now for the Fish. Another low strike.
I tell you what, Mike's had some borderline pitches called on him. That's not automatic on a 3-0 pitch either. It's one of those things out of the corner of your mouth you'll say to the umpire. Not automatic. Or, hey, it doesn't have to be. And that didn't have to be.
3-1.
You might be careful, though. You don't want to say that to Joe West or some other umpires that might not like that too well.
See what he gets. 3-2 with Gabby Sanchez at first. Another fastball. Staying away from Stanton.
That's the one thing about Mike. When we've seen him get locked in and seen him get hot, he will hit some, and he's hit some rockets to right center, some home runs. And clearly that's where Worley's trying to stay.
Both those pitches are in the same spot. Schneider creeps inside. High chopper. Polanco across the diamond, and Stanton is out. That one almost got over the head of Polanco.
And I will guarantee he lost that for a moment in the lights. That high chopper, you can tell by the way he reacted. And if not for the high chopper, the Phillies might be looking at turning another double play. Boy, that's nicely done on Foxmo. Sure-handed Placido Polanco.
A couple of gold gloves for Polanco. Dobbs now. The Marlins have a chance to pick up a run and pick up some ground. At one point, the Marlins had a 3-1 lead.
So what you're saying is the Phillies are on a 5-0 run.
Yes.
We have to use basketball terms now.
Now, Dobbs was a Long Beach Stater for part of his collegiate career. Also Oklahoma.
Actually, that's a good question. We need to ask him. The transition in the two.
I think his college roommate at Oklahoma was Jason Bartlett.
I think you're right.
That's part 2 of the question.
Yeah. Greg Dobbs, part 2.
He's bounced into a double play. Up the middle, and Worley has Gabby hung up. Gabby in a rundown. And Polanco tags him out. Dobbs doesn't have the speed to go first to second in that spot.
Yeah, ideally, when that happens as a runner, you'd like to stay in that rundown long enough to allow the hitter to get to second base. And in essence, you're just trading places. But you're right about Dobbs. He couldn't get there. Gabby wasn't in it long enough. Tough play, a little bit of a mistake, but a tough play. You expect that ball to get by the pitcher, but once he catches it, then you're nailed. Good play by Worley.
John Buck has walked and struck out. Like his hand slipped off the bat. It's 0-1. Vance Worley sweating it up. And the goggles, or the prescription goggles that he's got, it's like they've got little holes to
little air vents,
keep him from fogging up. Dobbs the runner at first, 1-1 coming to Buck. Vance Worley's 1-2 and Buck fouls it back. Buck and the Marlins yesterday avoided a sweep. Beat the Nationals. Phillies tangled with the Braves last night. Actually dropped 2 of 3 to the Braves in Philadelphia. That's after they had swept the Nationals themselves.
Yeah, the Braves, boy, they've really put it together with that bullpen. They'd get ahead in those games and turn it over to O'Flaherty, Venters, and Kimbrel.
Buck runs the count full now, 3-2. Remember, he walked his last time up and didn't even know he had walked.
Let's see if he knows the count right here. Let's see if he gets a fastball, too, from Worley. Something out over the plate.
Pulls it foul.
Got like the slider.
Off-speed pitch.
Yeah, a little slider.
Braves have the night off. Nationals have the night off. I believe they start a series tomorrow, don't they, in Atlanta?
Yeah, as they say, a light schedule in baseball tonight. There are a few games. Red Sox have a 1-0 lead over the Twins in the 6th inning. Josh Beckett. Dodgers are in Pittsburgh. Ethier on a 2-game hitting streak now. Had one tonight.
Reds have scored first against Houston. 3-0 in the 3rd. Dobbs will be moving again. A 3-2 pitch coming to John Buck. Vance Worley in relief of Joe Blanton. And it's up. And Buck is on his way down to first. Another walk for Buck. Here comes Infante. The Marlins certainly have had their opportunities to cut into this 6-3 lead. I told you about the double plays. One that ended the 5th. One that erased a runner in the 4th. Same thing in the 3rd. And the other double play came all the way back in what was a 2-run first inning.
Yeah, and because of all the double plays, you don't see a lot of left on base for the Marlins. But they have had base runners.
That's a strike, and it pops out of the glove of Schneider. Brian Peterson is on deck. One coming to Infante, a single, and then the bouncer to second that turned into 2. Worley misses up. It's got to be a little different feel for Worley, who made 2 very good starts, and then now he's dropped right in the middle of a game.
And all of his games in AAA Lehigh Valley were starts. So a little different transition, routine. Starters have their own routine. Bullpen pitchers have their routine. Over the years, there have been some who've been able to, make them both work.
Infante to left. Ibanez is in, and he makes the catch. And the Marlins leave a couple. We've played 6-3 Phillies. Stadium. Let's check in with Allison Williams.
Thank you, Rich. This is for all the Trekkies out there. I'm here with Jonathan Frakes, best known as William T. Riker, commander from Star Trek TNG, The Next Generation. A bit of a baseball fan, right?
A bit of a baseball fan. That was very nice, Allison. Well done.
And who is your team? I know you're from Pennsylvania, so are we rooting for the other side tonight?
I'm afraid I have to. When I was a kid, we used to go to Connie Mack Stadium, which very few people may remember, which was pre-Veteran Stadium. So the Phillies were my team.
And I know in the AL, this is very unusual, so we have to bring this up. You're both a Red Sox and a Yankees fan. How does that happen?
It happened this way. When I got out of college and went to New York, it was during that great era when Reggie Jackson and Chambliss and Munson were on the team. And then we moved to Maine, and you're not allowed into New England unless you have a Red Sox hat. So they gave my son a Red Sox hat, Trot Nixon ball, and now I've been conflicted ever since.
A conflicted baseball fan, and we have to say it's a bit of a small world because there's a connection here. Our audio engineer, Mark Butler, is cousins with Gates McFadden.
No way. Cheryl McFadden, as I'm sure he knows her.
Yes, her stage name, Gates, of course.
She thought she'd pretend that she was not really on Star Trek. So she named herself Gates, as if so her fancy New York friends would know that she was doing Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Speaking of Star Trek, what was your favorite part of the Enterprise?
My favorite part of the ship?
Yes.
The holodeck, of course.
Why was that?
Why was that? Have you ever been on the holodeck?
Of course not.
Come on. Minuet.
And your first Marlins game, you're in town because you're actually doing some work locally, right?
I'm directing Burn Notice and The Glades, so I'm sort of between shows here.
Very cool. Actor and director, of course, because you directed some of Star Trek, the episodes.
I did,
right?
Luckily.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jonathan.
Allison,
it's a pleasure.
The pleasure's mine.
Nice to
Thank
meet
you so
you. Guys, back to you.
Thank you.
Hey, Burn Notice is a good show.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Edward Mujica is down, and he is in a lot of pain. He was going over to first on that ground ball to Gabby Sanchez, and that does not look good.
Gabby picks it and then has time to take it himself. About halfway over, you can see Mujica come up lame, and he's going to have to come out of the game. Don't know if it's a knee or a hamstring. Remember early in the year, one of his early appearances, he came off over between home and first and kind of tweaked something behind the knee, which wasn't serious. He came out of the game at the time, but he didn't have to go on the disabled list, and he was ready to pitch. But this looks a little more serious than that.
Yeah, they're waving in the emergency vehicle to get him off the field. And Mujica in relief of Javier Vasquez.
And Edward was doing a terrific job. Came in the fifth inning with 1 out. Got a couple of outs, had a 1-2-3 sixth. Retired the first 2 hitters here in the 7th. And he's a big part of that bullpen because of the fact he can take innings. He can go out there and give you more than 1 inning.
Marlins are going to have to make a double switch here as well because Mujica, his spot in the lineup, there's another look at it, is due to lead off in the 7th.
Well, that's painful to look at.
A helping hand from Gabby Sanchez. I think the Marlins will probably bring Bonifacio in, and Infante may be the guy that leaves.
Could bring Bonifacio in to play second base because Infante made the last out. Another right-hander give you a lot of innings is Brian Sanchez. And when he's on, getting back to that left-handed thought, Brian Sanchez, when he's throwing well, as when Mujica's throwing well, they can get left-handers out because they both have that good fork or splitter that they use that gets lefties.
And so Mujica with the emergency vehicle approaching.
And Sanchez will go right to the mound. He'll just begin his warm-up tosses, get as many as possible.
Remember, the Marlins already have one reliever on the disabled list, Clay Hensley. They just placed him on the DL this past weekend.
Gives you an idea how serious that is, whatever it is with Mujica, behind the knee, behind the leg.
And so with Mujica being carted off the field and Sanchez taking as long as he needs to warm up, 6-3 Phillies on top in the 7th. We will take this Marooney call to the pen. Cubs, it's our annual Ford Fantasy Auction presented by Tommy Bahama. Marlins.com/fantasy if you'd like to be in attendance and on the set and on television with us. $80 for an individual, $150 for a couple. What you get a box seat for the ball game. You also get to come on up into the auction area and have an all-you-can-eat gourmet buffet, as well a meet-and-greet photo opportunity with a Marlins player and with Jeff Conine. And, of course, it's a terrific matchup. It's the Cubs. It's a Thursday night. We have some great prizes already lined up. And our pledge packs went on sale today. We've already sold some pledge packs. Marlins.com/pledge packs. Logan Morrison autographed baseball in those pledge packs this year.
Yeah, great pledge pack. Always a lively crowd when the Cubs are in town. So it should be a fun night. A couple of nights. The Cubs are only here 2 nights this year.
Many of our items sell for a lot of money, but if you'd like to get involved for a great cause, the pledge packs are a great way to do it at just $150, or you can come to the dinner for just $80 as well. All the proceeds go to the Marlins Community Foundation, and all the proceeds that head to the Community Foundation go right back into South Florida youth. Ibanez against Sanchez now, and Brian misses inside, and it's 1-0. If you've just happened by, the matchup of Javier Vasquez and Joe Blanton was a rather messy one, especially for Vasquez. 4 1/3, 9 hits, 6 runs. Sanchez throws a fastball by Ibanez. Blanton was not really effective until he really needed it, and he got 4 double-play ground balls to help him through his 5 innings, 8 hits, with just the 3 runs. Vance Worley pitched the 6th for the Phillies. Edward Mujica, who just left with an apparent left leg injury, and Sanchez goes 2-1 to Ibanez, who is 2 for 3.
I've always thought this is a tough spot for a pitcher to come into. Normally, if you come into a situation to get an out, you throw your 7 or 8 pitches and you're ready to go. Sanchez had to throw a lot of pitches to get ready. Stayed right there, made a good pitch, got Ibanez.
Brian Peterson, who came in on the double switch, makes the catch. Peterson will lead it off for the Fish. The 7th is copyrighted telecast presented by the authority of the Marlins. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. Accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Fish. Vance Worley continues. He's sort of starter B in this ball game. John Mayberry Jr., to be exact, is in right field. His father, Major League slugger, mostly for the Kansas City Royals. And here is Peterson leading it off against Worley. Throws a strike.
Been a tough goal for Peterson. Brian Peterson with very few at bats, but tremendous numbers in AAA before getting called up. And he's in that situation, just one at bat. He's in that situation that in the back of his head, he knows what's probably going to happen when Logan Morrison comes off the disabled list. But he's held his own, walked the other day in one of his at-bats.
0-2.
And we get a chance to see both Brian Peterson, Scott Cousins, who's also on the club. We see a lot of them in the spring. And we see these guys and the talent that they have. They just haven't gotten that opportunity to be everyday players up here.
That's in. And that's the hard part for a young player, because you come up and you want to impress. So you want to do great things rather than just play your game and let everything come to you. Oftentimes, when you're getting a pinch hitting appearance every other day, if you don't get a hit, you bury yourself.
Yeah, and that wasn't what you were doing in AAA. You were playing every day out of the University of California, Irvine. Beautiful campus out there. Great area.
The Anteaters, and there's Cousins. Peterson hanging in there, the count at 2-2. Second inning for Worley. Blanton went the first 5. And Peterson rolls it out to Orr at second. So there's one out. Here comes Coughlin. Coughlin is 3 for 3 in this ball game. 6:30 tomorrow for Marlins Live. We'll get you ready for Josh Johnson and Roy Halladay. And then the homestand comes to a close on Wednesday night. Ricky Nolasco against Cliff Lee.
Boy, Cliff Lee coming off a loss, but he struck out 16 men in that game against the Braves.
Coughlin bounced the ball off the glove of Blanton for his last hit, drove in a run in the second with a hit, and singled and scored to open the Marlins' first inning. Fouls it back into the crowd, a crowd tonight of 11,444. You would expect a few more folks tomorrow night.
I'm cynical. You would have expected a few more tonight, too. First place team, second place team become pretty good rivals.
Count goes to 2-2 on Chris. Philly fans kind of got almost a Joe Blanton hairdo there. Philly fans are representing here in South Florida, that's for sure. These are the golden days of the Philadelphia Phillies right now. I think their sellout streak is probably right around, what, 140 now?
Yeah, it was up there. They've had sellouts all year this year. And it was a time when it wasn't like that. Trust me, back in the 70s, having been there firsthand, games at Veterans Stadium where you had small crowds, but with the likes of Roy Oswalt, who's on the disabled list. Marlins thought they might see him in this series, but remember, he left the club, went back to tend to his family. His family was in Mississippi where the tornadoes were, and he had some damage to his property, not so much to his home, but damage to his property. His family's there, his children are there.
Great at bat by Coughlin, by the way, fighting off all those pitches. Marlins saw him earlier, and he had a little bit of a sore back, and that's why he's on the disabled list, back tightness.
Yeah. So both Oswalt and Carlos Ruiz with back tightness put him on the disabled list.
Bonifacio takes inside. Eric Cooper has not been giving Worley that inside corner to the left-handed hitters. Bonifacio is 0 for 3. Nice play. Good scouting report by the ball boy. Off the tarp.
Yep, Perry Hill places one of those pegs over there just right of the stool. Yep, there he was, right on it.
Slow roller. Howard will get the out at first. And Hanley comes up with Coughlin at second base. Marlins have plenty of hits in this one, 9 with their 3 runs. Hanley has a couple. Gabby Sanchez has a couple. Coughlin has 3 of them.
The other thing about the Phillies, they've gone through some closers. I mean, Lidge hasn't pitched all year, and Jose Contreras has 5 saves. And Ryan Madsen now is their closer because Contreras is on the disabled list.
Initial word on Edward Mujica, left knee strain. Pitch to Hanley. 0-1.
Seen a good approach from Hanley tonight. After 31 games last year, he was hitting .308. A far cry from the 195 he was hitting coming into this game. That's gone up a little bit. And in 09, after 31 games, he was hitting .361. And if you go back even to his rookie year, every year after that many games over 300. So this is the first time Hanley's really had to deal with this kind of a start.
Of course, we've talked about what Chris Coughlin went through last year coming off his Rookie of the Year campaign. He got off to a slow start, and he pressed and he pressed, and he said all he did was dig a deeper hole for himself. And remember, Coughlin, before he injured his knee and was gone for the year, had pulled out of it, and had he been able to play the entire season, he felt he would have been able to get back to 300.
Oh, he's very certain about that. He was feeling good swinging the bat, and he felt he could for sure.
He said it wasn't until he convinced himself that he couldn't make up all that ground all at once. That's when he started to hit. When he wasn't going out there every night expecting and trying to get 3-4 hits.
Yeah, and even in a case like Hanley's game tonight, a couple of hits the first time up, all of a sudden you think in your mind, oh, I'm going to go 4 for 4 and everything's, but you know, it doesn't happen that way all the time. I'm sure he's going to mix in a 4-hit game this year. Got a good pitch to hit there. Fastball middle of the plate.
Of course, the Marlins just left St. Louis. That's where the 2 top hitters in the National League reside. Gabby waits on deck. Though they are under 400 now. Matt Holliday at 398, Lance Berkman at 374. Berkman still leads the National League in slugging percentage, and of course Holliday is right behind him. Berkman slugging at 738, Holliday at 631. Change up, and that gets Hanley to pop out to Pete Orr. And the Marlins are done in the 7th. On to the 8th. Phillies on top. Let's check in with Frank Fort.
All right, thanks very much, Rich. As you've mentioned throughout the telecast, both these teams dealing with some injuries right now. Logan Morrison was here, as Tommy mentioned, working out this afternoon at Sun Life Stadium, but he hopped in the car, went up to Jupiter, played for the Hammerheads tonight, his first game on a rehab assignment. Nothing major to report there. Lomo went 0 for 3 with a strikeout. Hammerheads trail Fort Myers in that one, 5-3 in the ninth inning, but at least Lomo getting some at-bats as he starts out his rehab assignment tonight in Jupiter. Back up to you, Rich and Tommy.
All right, thank you, Frank. Brian Sanchez continues on. And it's John Mayberry Jr. who's up. First at bat. Big right-handed hitter takes a strike. His father from the other side of the plate was one of those guys that, much like Ryan Howard, you'd see infield shift around for.
Big John Mayberry, we were teammates for a couple of months with the Toronto Blue Jays.
Mayberry played his college ball at Stanford. Pete Orr and Brian Schneider to follow.
Well, Charlie Manuel got what he had hoped for from Ross Glode. Glode with a 2 for 3, 2 RBI night.
And Mayberry all over that pitch. Scorches it out to center field. Yeah, Ross Glode, I'm sure as he was lifted from the ball game, pulled out his pocket schedule to see the next time the Marlins and Phillies match up and the next time Javi Vasquez is slated to pitch, because those have been his 2 starts this year.
And the next time these two teams match up will be in June. And remember, one of those days is a split doubleheader. June 14th, 15th, and 16th in Philadelphia.
Followed by a day game the next day. Hanley over for it with Dobbs. And neither of them able to make a play.
Yeah, that 15th is the split doubleheader. I think Dobbs was looking to see where the tarp was and then just had to make the little turn inside. A lot of times also the better angle is from the shortstop, but it wasn't quite high enough for Hanley to get there.
Good work by the dad holding his son up there, protecting him.
But it's been amazing. It's not like the Marlins have dominated the Phillies in Philadelphia, but they've played them better at Citizens Bank Park than they've played them here.
Forkball gets a strike. Well, it's been a great run by the Phillies. They won 97 games last year, 4 consecutive National League East titles. Sanchez strikes out Pete Orr.
Got a ways to go to reach the 14 in a row the Braves put together, but they're on a pretty good roll.
But they've already got that one World Series ring. Yeah. The Braves had just one in their 14. Full season ticket plans in the new Marlins ballpark available now. The Diamond Club's already sold out. Several other premium areas are close to capacity, so secure your seats today. Call the new Marlins ballpark sales headquarters at 1-877-411-2012 or go to marlins.com/new ballpark. Runner goes. Bucks throw sails. Bonifacio, who's now at second base, runs it down. Mayberry has a stolen base. First of the season.
Pretty good jump and a little better speed than his dad. It's funny, a lot of times it's fun to see the father-son combos. Some have been similar, others completely opposite. Think of the Boones. Bob Boone, catcher. Aaron, third baseman. Brett, terrific second baseman. the Hairstons, all very versatile.
That's helped the Hairstons stay in baseball.
Yeah. Scott is versatile. Jerry Jr. And Senior was versatile and a good pinch hitter.
Schneider has pulled 3 ground balls to the right side tonight. Make it 4. Gabby steps on the bag. 2 outs here in the 8th. You saw Romero warming up in the Phillies pen. Marlins in the 8th will have Gabby Sanchez, Mike Stanton, and Greg Dobbs. And it's Worley who takes the at-bat. And as we said, he is stretched out enough that if Charlie Manuel wants him to finish the game, he's ready to do it.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Charlie plays this. I think Romero might be throwing, if anything, to get ready for Dobbs. And then he could go, if they get through the 8th inning that way, and then he could go with his closer now, Ryan Madsen, who the Marlins have seen a lot of. Or he could elect to keep Worley in there the rest of the way.
The Marlins obviously will have a decision to make after the ball game with Edward Mujica. That one popped foul out of play. Mujica, with a strained knee, was carted off the field, and the injury looked serious enough that you would expect he's headed towards the disabled list. Marlins just brought Burke Badenhop up from AAA. They've got some guys down there that are throwing pretty well in a variety of roles.
Yeah, you start perusing the numbers of the pitchers in New Orleans.
Saw that Jay Bente actually in the starting rotation is having a nice year.
He is 1-0 with a 1.35 ERA. There's some guys that we've seen a little bit that have some experience. Steve Cishek, Adalberto Mendez.
Sanchez, the strikeout of Worley. Marlins still down 3. America poll question had to do with entertainers from Philadelphia. Will Smith had an early lead. Kevin Bacon, all the 3 degrees of Kevin, what is it, the 6 degrees?
6 degrees of Kevin Bacon.
All the people that he's worked with.
He's probably worked with all of those on the list.
I can't believe Tina Fey has only 6%. I mean, this weekend she killed it again as Sarah Palin.
Saturday Night Live, she was tremendous. But I wish there was more love for Bill Cosby and Dick Clark.
Dick Clark, come on.
The American Bandstand originated in Philadelphia.
Yeah, I know.
Of course, then again, that's when there was black and white TV.
So Wilson Valdez out there at second base. Gabby Sanchez, Mike Stanton, Greg Dobbs. And Gabby turns on one, a fly ball down that left field line, and it's going to fall foul.
And how can you forget Dick Clark and the $100,000 pyramid?
Yeah, New Year's Rockin' Eve, I think our truck is lobbying that in. See, he's more of a host. I wouldn't put him as an entertainer. I would put him just as a host.
Well, then give the love to Bill Cosby. Tina Fey.
Tina Fey. She's contemporary. Come on. 30 Rock. Two-run double in the first. 22 RBIs now on the season. The National League Player of the Week. Gabby drives that one down the line. Hits it pretty well. Ibanez back at the track. It is gone! And the run continues for Gabby Sanchez as he sneaks that one out of left field. Right in the Alex Gonzalez corner.
You know, he hits some pitches the way he stands, and he's pretty close to the plate. Pitchers try to crowd him in, and then every once in a while they get down and in, and he just drops the head. That was a very easy swing. Watch this swing. Just stays right on it. Brought his hands in. Brings his hands in as good as anybody.
Here is Mike Stanton. In fact, in my conversation today with Jim Beattie, we were talking about Sanchez. And that subject came up, clearing the hands and being able to pull a ball and keep it fair. And Beattie said the guy that Gabby reminds him of the most is a young Edgar Martinez.
Ah, that's a good comparison, too.
A strike to Stanton.
And a pretty good hitter to be compared to.
And a guy that was able to pull the ball and hit it hard and a long way and keep it from hooking. 1-1 to Stanton. One and two. Struck him out. Worley brought that fastball right back on the outside corner.
Watch this ball move. The target away. The pitch starts there. And boy, a lot of movement. That had a good part of the plate when it came back.
There's the side view of the trajectory, so to speak, of the pitch. Dobbs now with one out. Worley really seems to change speeds on his fastball well.
You can see why he's had some success, why he was called up, had a couple of real good starts.
Dobbs went after a pitch in his eyes. Valdez. 2 outs. Here comes Buck.
Well, you think of right-handed hitters, you got me thinking with Gabby Sanchez. We had the great split screen of Gabby and Albert Pujols. You mentioned the comparison to Edgar Martinez. You could even go back a little bit further and throw in a Steve Garvey. Right now, he's the reigning National League Player of the Week, and he's Gabby Sanchez.
Buck sends a looper down the right field line, and that's out of play.
Good to see our buddy last night drive in all 3 runs for the Giants and hit a home run. Cody Ross. Cody got off to a real slow start. He was on the disabled list with a calf injury, was hitting right around 200. Hit his first homer of the year last night for the Giants and ended up beating the Rockies 3-0.
Again, Worley brought that fastball right back on the outside part. A Gabby Sanchez homer. The Marlins are within 2, but running out of innings. Three RBIs, couple doubles. He's got 3 hits, a homer, and a double, and 3 RBIs in this one. Leaders of the game brought to you by JM Lexus. Batting average during May, Gabby at .459. Jason Bourgeois from Houston. JM Lexus, price made us #1. Click jmlexus.com and find out how. Sanchez now to face Rollins. Rollins a real pest early in the ball game. Banged one off the top of Mike Stanton's glove and got out for a home run, his 2nd of the season, and then singled and scored in the 3rd on a rough night for Javier Vasquez.
And you really think about it, since Vasquez left the game, Mujica threw well. Ryan Sanchez throwing well. All 6 runs for the Phillies, 5 earned and 1 unearned on the line of Javier Vasquez.
It's a tough day for the New York Mets. They got bad news on a couple of fronts. A pair of their starting pitchers. Chris Young, who'd been off to a pretty good start, has been diagnosed with a torn anterior capsule in his right shoulder.
Wow, he went on the DL, then came back and pitched.
And Henry Mejia, the second opinion, confirmed that he needs Tommy John surgery.
Their young prospect.
Ryan Madsen getting ready in the bullpen. Phillies have had a terrific start, and they've done it with a lot of talent on the disabled list, including Brad Lidge, their closer.
Yeah, we talked earlier about Lidge. Then Contreras went down.
And of course, Chase Utley's been on the DL since day 1.
Chooch on the disabled list now, their catcher.
So a lot of credit goes to Charlie Manuel and the Phillies. Just think what they'll be like when they get everybody healthy.
Well, and at the very beginning of the year, good fastball there by Ryan Sanchez to go upstairs. At the very beginning of the year, their hopes were to have Dominic Brown, the young outfielder, left-handed hitter in right field, and he went down with a hammock bone injury.
Here comes Victorino. Seattle released Milton Bradley.
All right, who's going to be the next taker?
Milton Bradley making $13 million this year.
See, what does that tell you right there? If you're another club, why would you even check in on that? He's making that kind of money, and they released him. They have to pay him. So what does that tell you? But there will be some club out there who think they're going to get a deal with Seattle paying most of it.
Well, Seattle will pay all of it.
Yeah, they'll get him after waivers and just have to pay him the minimum. And they'll think that Milton Bradley's going to turn the corner and he's going to be a new guy.
Speaking of old friends, you mentioned Cody Ross. The Hammer has been suspended for a game after apparently making contact with an umpire this weekend. Hammer.
I think it was just a friendly chest bump.
He and Bill Miller. Apparently, we're not celebrating with a chest bump. We will see the Hammer. The Marlins, of course, will be in Oakland.
Marlins are in Oakland June 28th, 29th, and 30th.
Victorino takes outside.
Well, what a player Victorino has been. A guy who twice has been claimed on the Rule 5. Once to San Diego and second time to the Phillies.
Takes ball 4, and he's aboard with one out here in the ninth. 6-4. Phillies on top. Placido Polanco comes up, and Randy Choate in the Marlins pen. You would expect Choate to play a pivotal role in this series. Even with Utley out, you still have the dangerous left-handed bats of Howard and Ibanez.
You also have a situation with great speed at first and tremendous bat control at the plate. You could go with a straight steal. You could go with some running, hit and run. Be careful because Victorino was really dancing off first base. He had a great lead.
Polanco has been an outstanding acquisition by the Phillies. A real nice sign. Victorino got a good jump, and Buck has no chance. Eight on the season now for Victorino.
It's an area when we first opened the telecast, we put up a nice comparison of these two clubs, and there were a lot of similarities as far as home runs, runs scored. Marlins, before the game, actually led in those two categories. But the one area that the Phillies lead in, tremendous defense, and they lead in stolen bases. They run. They have some speed.
Polanco pulls that foul. Polanco probably should have won the Gold Glove last year. Scott Rowland ended up winning it. Polanco had a better fielding percentage. And probably has a bit more range than Rowland. But of course, that's a vote of managers and coaches in each league.
Victorino did win a Gold Glove. Victorino's won 3. One of our favorites. We always enjoy talking to him.
He's a very good guy. Polanco to right field. Stanton is there. Mike makes the catch, then drops it. Victorino's on his way to third.
Well, it'll be a catch. First base umpire Mark Carlson right on that. But in the transition to make the throw, even though a throw wasn't needed, Victorino wasn't going anywhere. But as he tries to get it in the throwing hand, that's where he drops it. Then when he drops it, Victorino goes to third, so it'll be an error. Charged to Mike Stanton. There's the catch. And right here is the error.
Second error of the night for the Fish. Sanchez exits. Here comes Choate. Marooney called to the pen.
When you need a car, truck, or van.
outs. Randy Choate out of the bullpen. He's in to face Ryan Howard. You got Raul Ibanez on deck. Shane Victorino standing at third base.
You're right. You mentioned it last inning. And these are the situations the Marlins signed Randy Choate to a 2-year contract. And we saw him come through in Cincinnati. Had success against Jay Bruce and Joey Votto.
Howard splits this year, has yet to homer against the lefty, but certainly is homering at a prolific rate. He is now second all time on the Phillies list.
He's got a long way to go to get to first.
Mike Schmidt, 548,
but he's second right now.
He just moved past Del Ennis.
Second with 260.
Ennis with 259. Big swing and a miss.
Now, Ryan Howard's done a little bit of everything. He's been a Rookie of the Year. He was in 05. He's been a National League MVP. He was that in 06. He's been in the top 5 in MVP votes 4 times.
Choate gets him. So Howard goes down, but the Marlins still need 2 runs. Here comes Madsen. For Marlins Live, 7 o'clock, these 2 guys take center stage. Roy Halladay and Josh Johnson. They matched up twice last year. JJ beat Halladay after Halladay beat JJ with the perfect game. Charlie Manuel's Phillies have a 6-4 lead. He's got Ryan Madsen out of the mound to close it out in the bottom of the 9th.
Well, we were kind of wondering which direction Charlie Manuel would go. We see he decides to go with his closer of now, and we've seen Madsen so many times in the past. He has that good fastball, the changeup that has terrific fade to it, a good curveball, and right now Madsen with 3 saves and some tremendous numbers, 13 innings and 15 strikeouts for Madsen. Opposing hitters are hitting 174 against him.
And the numbers against Florida is 29th appearance against the Fish.
One of those guys kind of like a Tyler Clippard.
My mistake, 28 here just in South Florida.
Yeah, he's one of those guys, we see him all the time. Whenever the Phillies and Marlins match up, you can guarantee in a 3-game series, we're going to see Madsen at least twice.
Scott Cousins is the first out of the chute. You got Brian Peterson to follow, and then to the top of the order, Chris Coghlan. So the Marlins have 3 left-handed bats to start with against Madsen here in the 9th. Cousins a pinch hitter. This is where the pitcher spot resides. And it's 0-1. And Cousins wrestling with the same dilemma as you described with Brian Peterson, a guy that's used to being an everyday player, trying to play the role of a big league reserve.
It's a hard role, and more often than not, the successful part-time players are older players who've been around a while, and they're willing to accept that role, number one. And it's a tough role for young players.
One, two. Floats outside. That Madsen is one of the premier setup men in all of baseball. He's a guy that, as you noted, has closer type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
When they get Lidge back, when they get Contreras back. Little emergency swing, and he dumps it just out of the reach of Polanco. Kicks it further down the line. Cousins missed first base, and he has to go back to first. Scott Cousins missed first, and that was right in front of Mark Carlson, the first base umpire, and Perry Hill.
Well, he was watching the ball. You got to at least touch the base. Just out of the reach of Polanco, then as he's running, his knee kicks it. Good shot with Fox mode to see where the ball goes. And Cousins, as he's going up, he's watching the ball, and even though that bag hasn't moved in over 100 years, he missed it. The good news is that he knew he missed it, and he went back.
He didn't just barely miss it. He missed it by a lot.
If he touches the bag, he's at second base. Not a huge thing right now because the Marlins are down 3.
Peterson. Fastball from Madsen, a strike. Here's Cousins full speed.
The great at bat, off the end of the bat, breaks the bat, but he's looking at the ball the whole way and then didn't pick up the bag and missed it. Perry Hill was trying to alert him of the play down the left field line.
Up the middle. It's a big play now because that is a force out at second, and Peterson is safe at first. So Cousins out on the force, Peterson safe at first, and here comes Coghlan.
Kind of gives you an idea of the speed of Brian Peterson. Most batters, that's a double play. Rollins does the right thing, but Peterson, terrific speed, beats the relay, and it's just a force at second base. And had the Marlins hit into that double play, it would have tied a team record. 5 double plays in one game, but it stands at 4 right now.
Coghlan 3 hits and a walk. All 3 hits, singles for Coghlan. Bonifacio on deck. Marlins would love to get Hanley Ramirez or even as far as Gabby Sanchez in this inning. Madsen trying to shut the door. The Phillies looking for win number 23 on the season. Oh, 2. One and 2.
So far, Coghlan's seen all fastballs. He hasn't seen that Madsen changeup yet. There it was.
He buried it. saw all those appearances, even in this ballpark, for Madsen. Coughlin, it's just his second, or actually his second at bat against the right-hander. There's the changeup and a good one. So Coughlin is down, and the Marlins are down to their last out.
That's why his changeup's so effective. He has that fastball 95 and 96, same arm action, and it fades away to the left-handers. Tough pitch.
Bonifacio. Ground ball, and this should do it. Valdez on the first. The Philadelphia Phillies win their 23rd game of the season, the first of this 3-game set, and they do it on a night where Joe Blanton comes off the disabled list, gives him 5 innings. Vance Worley backs him up, and Ryan Madsen shuts the door. 4 double plays turned by the best defense in the National League for the Phillies. Marlins baseball on Fox Sports Florida, brought to you by Marooning. South Florida, when you need a car, truck, or van, who are you going to call? 1-877-Marooning. By Checkers, little place, big taste. By Xfinity, your home for the most live sports. And by Chase, deposit checks from your smartphone with quick deposit. Take a step forward and chase what matters. 6-4 the final. The Phillies take game 1. Marlins Live will review this one, get you ready for game 2.